What's up, programmer? In this video, I am going to explain arrays in C++ programming. So what is an array? In C++, an array is basically a group of variables of the same data type that are stored adjacent to each other. Each value or element in an array can be accessed by its index, which is going to start at 0 for the first element and basically goes up to n-1 for an array of n elements. Now I'm going to show you how to create an array in C++ programming. The first thing we need to type is the data type we want, then the next thing will be the name of the array. Then after that, we will type the square brackets, and inside the square brackets, we will put a value for the number of elements this array can hold, and then the semicolon. So in this example, I have an array called array example that stores integer values, and it can hold 5 values. Now another way you can create arrays is by doing the same thing as before, but instead of placing the semicolon, you want to type the equal sign and then type the curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets, you want to type the values you want that are placed inside the array, and then you type the semicolon. So in this example, I have an array, and inside this array, I will put the certain values I want in the array up to the size of the array. This will basically create the array with values 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Now in order to access the elements in the array, you can do so by using the index. In this example, we can access the first element of the array using 0 and the second element using 1. The reason why the first element is accessed with 0 is because the array index starts at 0 and it goes all the way up to n-1, where n is the number of elements in the array. Now you can also change a specific value in an array just like this. In this example, we changed the value of the first element in the array from 10 to 99. Now the main difference you want to know between the first way of creating an array and the second way of creating an array is that for the first way, you will have to initialize your values later on in your program depending on when you want to use the array, while for the second way, you just need to set your values when you create the array. Now for the first method, setting the values in an array is really easy. It's just the same syntax on how you change the values in an array. Now I am going to run the program to show you that it works. If you take a look on the screen, you can see that this value 1 is basically going to be the value in this first array at index 0. For the next value 10, it's in the second array and also at index 0. For the value 11, it's also going to be in the second array and at index 1. These two values were the values that we set initially when we created the second array. Now for this value 99, you can see that we changed the value in the second array at index 0 to be 99. So this is why it prints out 99 on the console. For the second array, the value at index 0 is no longer 10. It is now set to 99. Now another thing you can do with arrays, especially if you want to output the values onto the console, is that you can loop through the array. In this example, we can loop through the array using a for loop, and then we will print each value onto the console. The loop variable starts at 0 and it goes up to n-1, where n is the number of elements in the array. So when we run the program, you can see that each value in the array, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, all printed out on the console. Now there's two main limitations that you need to know about arrays. The first one is that you can't change the size of the array after it has already been created. The second one is that if you want to access a value that is not within the size capacity of the array, your program will most likely run into problems. For example, since I created this array with the size 5, I can no longer change this particular array size later on in the program. Also, if I try to access a value that is outside the size, like 10 for example, the program will likely not work. The program can still run, but will most likely run into problems later on. So in this line of code, I'm trying to access a value in the second array at index 10, and when we run the program, you can see that it gives a negative value because we do not have an index 10 in the second array, and that's why it went out of bounds. This is an introduction to arrays in C++ programming. This is easy syntax, and I hope you enjoyed the video.